Okay. Hey there. This is Malika Dickerson again from the New Progressives. And so, if you listen to the last two, I want to, um, well, not apologize because I've already warned you guys. Sometimes I get, yeah, I get angry and expletives fly. So, pardon my French, but I mean it. And I watched Rachel Maddow on Friday. I watch Rachel every day, but her Friday show just confirmed everything they got to put in my heart to say to you guys. And again, I said it. I'm just the messenger, the way he wanted me to say it. But today I want to talk to you, and I talked to my brother, and I got some good feedback from him. So I'm gonna make this short and sweet. But I wanted to show you guys something, and because there will be a poll worker shortage in November, and I've worked a lot of polls, particularly when I lived in California. So I'll show you this picture. This is, and if you're listening and not watching, it's a picture of me and President Obama in 2008, and that is me. And I've lost a lot of weight since then. But here's the thing: I've never met President Obama, and how this happened. When I worked at Acadia in San Diego in 2008 and 2007, I had spent literally that whole year bringing people on board. I mean, everybody they were all Hillary supporters, and we talked openly about politics at Acadia. And so when President Obama got elected, everybody, it was funny because all my liberal friends who also voted for him and wanted him elected were like, congratulations. Like it was congratulations to me because he was the first black president. But I'm like, he's America's first black president, especially a progressive or a democratic one, which we all wanted. But yay, thank you. And I am very happy about that. And so one day, I think this is around December 2007, 2008, after President Obama had already won. And before I went home for Christmas, my boss, Randy, who we're still friends, there are people that I worked with back then a decade ago who are still family to me, and I love them to death. It was a great place to work. I love you, Acadians, and I miss you. And I came in my boss. It was it wasn't unusual for me to be called into a clinical meeting. As my boss Randy always says when we chit chat, he's like, "You've worked in every department. Have you done every job in this building?" So that over the nearly 5 years I worked for Acadia, I did basically work for damn near every department from building to building. And so this was near the end of my tenure there, and Randy was my boss for those last 2 years, and he called me in. I was the liaison between the accounting department and the clinical department. And so he was like, "Yeah, we need you to come in and talk about some of the numbers, with the group." And I'm like, "All right." So I put together a little thing, and Randy's like, "They're not quite yet ready yet." The conference room was next door to his office, so I sat down, and like usual, we sat chatting politics, talking about how happy we were about President Obama and Joe Biden getting elected, and after about 10 minutes, he's like, "I think they're ready." So we walk into the conference room and open the door, and it's all black except for a projector screen. And I walked in, and this was the picture on the projector screen. And I'm like, my first thought was, when did I meet President Obama? Like, did I black out or something? I met him once. Because you're looking at it as an incredible Photoshop job by the people at Acadia. They put that together. When they turned on the lights, there was a cake. They had collected, all my friends and coworkers had collected enough money to buy me a plane ticket to the inauguration from California to, Ohio is where I booked it. And then I drove down with my cousin in West Virginia to the inauguration. And from there, and they raised the money to send me there so I could see him inaugurated. And we had a blast. It was awesome. But I wanted to talk because we do need poll workers. Now I live with my sister's. She's lupus. She's a very strong autoimmune disease. So I've been loath to go to protests or be in big crowds for that reason. If it was just me, I would, I don't know, I might not risk it because I have underlying issues too. But We try to keep distance, so I'm not sure. I'm not going to work a poll. We were even debating whether or not to show up to drop off our ballots or to mail them. We decided, like the experts say, we're going to mail them as soon as we get them, and we're getting mail-in ballots. So everybody follow that. But I want to talk about the thing is in California, like I said, at Acadia, we talked politics. Where I came from in Ohio, you don't talk politics, you don't talk religion at work. But I loved one thing I loved about living in California and San Diego is a conservative area. I mean, Duncan Hunter was my representative, and so it but politics is what people talked about. We our whole hallway from the top of the organization to the bottom. I mean, in the mornings we come in, talk politics, and again, it was a public good. And I remember I love the way they ran their elections. They would send a voter ballot before you even got your sample ballot. You got a booklet full of who all was running, and it had part of their spiel about why you should vote for them, their opposition spiel about why you should vote for them, and then they had nonpartisan assessments about, and here's what the organization is supposed to do. Here's the law that they want to change, and then you get your sample ballot with your address on it. If your name and address is on there, you grab that ballot and you take it to your poll. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. You don't need a voter ID. I live here. This is me. Bam. And so I worked elections. So I want y'all to know there are all kinds of checks to make sure we don't see anything and we don't know what you're doing, right? But it is as simple as saying, okay, you live here, here's your name. And if somebody else's ballot came to you and you're like, I live here, I forwarded my address, then you fill out an alternate ballot. Here's a provisional ballot. And here's the problem. Now, make sure you vote where you're supposed to, especially in selection, because those are if the race is already won or it's even close, it could be within like 1,000. It differs from county to county, and but sometimes it could be as little as 1,000 vote difference, and they'll go ahead and award that election, even though there may have been like 20,000 provisional ballots. They can toss them if they want to. Here are the electorate ballots, and you lost by 1,000. Well, there were all kinds of provisional ballots, right? That happened, and so and this was back in 2008, and here is exactly why. I decided I went looking for my pens. My brother said I jump sometimes. I'm trying not to. I even focused it by writing it down. But the state of California awarded me 4 different pens because I worked the primaries and the general elections, like 3 elections in a row. I moved to California in 2005. By 2006, I wasn't only registered. I mean, that was one of the first things I do. I'm going to vote. But then I was registered, and then I decided to be a poll worker. I think I worked a poll once here in Ohio. My first election, I was so excited in '96. And I mean, it was unpaid here in Ohio back then. I don't know if they pay now, but all I did was stick the vote here arrows in the ground. It didn't feel like I was doing too much, but it was something. But in California, yeah, I mean, you got paid. And it was like a $75, $85 check. It wasn't bad. It was just a surprise. I always forgot that I did it and that it was coming. And just be a check in the mail like a month later after I worked the poll. I was like, oh, yeah, thank you. But I worked those elections. I signed up to be a poll worker because if y'all recall in 2008, there were all kinds of shenanigans. And there were people trying to intimidate. We had to call down to our election headquarters because there were people in there trying to take pictures and intimidate from the right wing activists, trying to intimidate voters coming in, questioning who they're going to vote for, putting cameras and taking pictures of them at their polling places, which is not allowed. And so, yeah, this one dude refused to go. It was that contentious. And like I said, I lived in a Republican district, but I had been canvassing. I had done phone banks. I was like, and I knew there were a lot of Obama supporters in that district. And I had a feeling that he was going to win that district, despite it being a Republican held. Duncan Hunter won it, but I think President Obama might have won the presidency even in that district. And so, because there were a lot of people, which again, I'm going to have a different thing about, who were I'm just coming to vote for president. They would come in, boom, boom, they wanted to vote for President Obama, and that's that. Well, we had judges and Supreme Court nominees. We had mayors, and I mean, there's like all kinds of governor. Okay, so anyway, I digress. But here's the thing: we need poll workers, and older people are more vulnerable to COVID, and that's why you get long lines sometimes. Sometimes it's intentional. They intentionally, supply fewer machines in black districts and brown districts than they do everywhere else. If you hear a bunch of people in the background, come on, y'all. My niece is moving into her first apartment today. And so her and her friends are going to be moving stuff behind me. Just focus. But anyway, that's why we need people working these polls because we need y'all to be standing guard too in this election. And we weren't letting any shenanigans pop off then. And we need to extra make sure that there's PPE there, that we're distancing and people are observing the distancing when they're standing in line. Again, like I said, that was my motivation. It wasn't the money. It was we got the first black president running, and I know these people are on pull shenanigans. And so, yeah, after each year, I didn't expect anything. They give you this little cute little pin. Then I got an extra pin for working the primaries and then working the elections. I have 4 pins from the state of California. Very proud of them. But they're all in the box with my memorabilia. So, again, go to pollworkers.org and sign up. See in your state. I mean, like I said, California paid, and they pay pretty well. I mean, shoot, right now there's so many people unemployed. $75 check out of the blue ain't bad. And again, you are going to be doing your civic duty to help protect the election, to help protect individual voters in your community, make sure their votes count, and make sure that the process of getting the ballots into your registrar's office is correct and right. And there are all kinds of different positions. You can be a ballot checker, checking names off. You can be the person who sets up the machines. I mean, there are and I know in California they pay different levels. Like if you put together the machines, you'd go to different stations. It's like $125 or something. So it's worth it. And I was very proud of myself. My pins, I realized I don't have them. I have a box of memorabilia from the inauguration. I bought a bunch of swag on the Washington Mall, and this is gonna be historic 100 years from now. And I wasn't just there when we elected the first black president. I worked and made sure he got elected. So um, everybody who can, teenagers, we need people to volunteer to do this because I urge everybody and all the experts urge us all because the closer we get to election day, the more shenanigans they're going to try to play with vote by mail. And in a pandemic, that is the safest way to vote. And just like when I would get a sample ballot in the mail in California and then I'd show up on my poll and they see my name and my address and it matches my name and my address on the voter roll, it's an easy check, right? Who else is going to show up there at my address with my name, right? And if somebody else shows up, I've already checked that name off and I'm like, can't vote. It's simple as that. So when you vote by mail, it is literally you saying, this is me from my address. And nobody else is going to send your name from your address with your barcode. So it is the safest way to vote right now. But again, the longer you wait, the more shenanigans they will try to pull, and they are already trying to set it up so they can. I think I'm going to make sure I'm going to do a piece on how to vote and how to register. Another point my brother made, which is awesome. I'm going to do different how-to videos on that so we can go state by state together to find out when your voting starts, your early voting starts, how to do your ballots, and everything else. So right now, let's start with the fundamental thing. Let's make sure we have the election, the actual election ready to go. And that means we need a bunch of poll workers, a bunch of people to volunteer to do this part of our civic duty and say, okay, and then, like I said, in some states, you'll probably get paid for doing it. And good on you. So there's that too. And again, you could be like we were, me and Rajesh, who were working the poll. We're the only 2 people of color. And he was old and I was black. He's from India. I'm Black American. But we were like, you can't be in here. That's your job as a poll worker, right? To protect everybody in your community and make sure they get their vote in legally. So I implore you, just like Trevor Noah, just like a lot of people are begging you to do for as many people as we can in all 50 states to see in your local area how to volunteer to work at the poll in your area. So go to www.pollworkers.org. That's the one that Trevor Noah has been fishing. So I'm gonna add my voice to that. Okay. So thank you, and I have a couple more coming up. Thank you.